QCoin, 5 coins you can buy on there. Let's go. So hi everyone, if you're new to the channel, make sure you've subscribed, hit that bell button, leave a like and a comment as always. Now, let's talk about QCoin. I've used it before in the past. The reason being why I want to do this video is for one reason. One, it's not sponsored. Two, people moaning about me going, oh, it's all on Binance, that's easy. When I did a video when it wasn't on Binance, everyone moaned about it, going, oh, you can only buy this on QCoin, or you can only buy this on the likes of Uniswap, 1inch, Sushi. I don't know how to use it, I don't like it, it's weird. So I want to talk about QCoin because it's the most obvious and, in my opinion, probably one of the better middle tier sort of exchanges out there essentially. And they do get some good coins. So, for looking back in time here, I have used it. You can see that I've used it back in 2018, right? Just to put it out there. That was when Bitcoin was a lot cheaper. I say a lot cheaper, it wasn't. It was still quite expensive back then, but we know what's happened. Yeah. So, if you don't know what QCoin is, in fairness, it's relatively easy to use. Basically, you log in, right? When you go to your assets, you need to make sure you move it from the main account to the trading account and set it all up. All you do, go to spot trading, simple. And it is very, very similar to Binance, right? You can kind of allude to it already. You can probably already see the little funky features. Here, you get a lot more options. I feel, yes, Binance has a lot of coins, but this one tends to get them a little bit earlier than Binance, essentially. And some weird and wonderful pairings as well. So you can see on the DeFi world here, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's simple to use, right? So basically, if you want to buy Dogecoin right now, click on that one. You know, links here. Super, super simple. 40 cents. The world is going crazy. Anyways, I've identified here 5 coins essentially that, yes, they look alright, they're decent. Make sure you do your own research, not financial advice here. But people are wanting me to kind of cover other coins. And I thought, well, why not? One of them I do hold though, right? Because it is on QCoin, which is kind of obvious. But we do need to talk about a few. Now, one of them isn't on QCoin yet, but it is very, very soon. And it's one that I like the look of, which is Labs Group. Very, very soon, it's going on QCoin. So basically, as you can see, currently, I think it's trading as of now, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, it is basically a disruptive real estate investment sort of element. Now, if we're talking about real estate here, now this is crazy, right? So in terms of what it is and why it kind of looks cool, is because basically real estate is a monster of an asset in terms of valuation. And the world's first end-to-end blockchain-powered real estate investment ecosystem is kind of interesting, with the world of obviously DeFi and obviously governance. 2 very, very big buzzy words. Now, in terms of my recollection, there's nothing really out there in the market for this yet, and this is kind of filling that void, in my opinion. So, definitely interesting. It's got a lot of backers, got a lot of interest. As you can see, the team's fully there. I've not done a full deep dive on this, so please make sure you do your own research, but it has a lot of interest. But the reason why it's drawn my attention is because the amount of money in the world of real estate. That floods into cryptocurrency. Well, guess what? That token value is going to be very, very interesting when you start looking at it. And, you know, when you look at the fact of DeFi, lending, all this kind of element with governance as well, tokens have value. So that's why. Next one, obvious, I already mentioned it, I hold one of them, Swissborg, right? This is mainly for the people that go to me, I can't buy Swissborg because I do not have the app because I'm in a different country. You can buy it on QCoin, right? So it isn't on many exchanges, only obviously the obvious, right, Uniswap, but it is also on QCoin. It needs to be on more exchanges. I've already mentioned this a number of times. Once it's on more exchanges, awesome, but it is currently on QCoin. It's one of their main kind of places where you can buy it, so it's pretty decent. As you do not have to worry too much about being on the app, because if you're in different countries, you can still buy the underlying asset as a smart contract, ERC20 token, simple as that really. And yes, you can invest in the underlying asset, but obviously not able to use features of the app. But that being said, simple, right? Looking at the likes of Voyager, looking at the likes of Binance Coin, even look at the QCoin exchange token, which KCS is looking to grow over time. We know what happens with that. People, networks, growth, growth, growth. It happens, right? The next one to look at is Luxo, which is kind of an interesting token in my opinion. Talked about it before in the past, and this is very, very important you understand this. One of the main key people from Ethereum has built this essentially. So essentially it's kind of in the world of NFTs and stuff like that. But when you start thinking that, you know, who made this, It's the creator of the ERC20 standard from Ethereum, which is kind of very, very important. One of the most common things out there, and obviously the ERC725. But when we start talking about infrastructure of the blockchain, this is interesting in terms of physical and digital goods, right? So when we start looking at the fact of where can you buy this, well, you can buy it on multiple places, but one of the main places is only QCoin. So you've got a few exchanges there. So in my opinion, under the radar, as I say, multiple places, there's not, one or two. It's crazy really anything about it. Moving on. So the next one, Frontier. Looks pretty interesting, I know. Now, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but I do like the look of this. Now, let me just get onto the website so you can kind of see it. It's a lot more obvious when you see it. It is basically a DeFi aggregation layer. So when we start talking about, obviously, this is going to be very, very interesting for the world of DeFi. So basically a pool to pull everything into one place. Very, very interesting. You see here, platform, staking, protocols, chains, and you got obviously the upcoming ones as well. There's loads, absolutely loads. Full on platform. It's all here, right? Huge for the ERC20 network, essentially, basically, when you start looking at it. And obviously the token. So if you start looking at the token, what is a token? Basically, native token based on the incentivized entry in DeFi. So when you start talking about usage mechanisms, so you see here, de-inflationary mechanism, NFT acquisition, creation, and discounted tokens for basically sending and exchanges. So there's huge utility on this. And again, it's one of those coins that isn't really out there that much. When you start looking at it, yeah, it's on the likes of Binance, but this is one of their main coins essentially on QCoin, which a lot of people wanted to buy and did. So Frontier, definitely one to look at. Yes, it's on Binance and stuff and it's on other exchanges, but this is the one that I wanted to let slide because I've never really mentioned it before, and I thought, yeah, why not? If you got a QCoin account, you don't have a Binance account, you can definitely buy this on there. And lastly, BPro Network. Kind of been a bit slaughtered in terms of pricing, but in terms of usage, it's interesting, right? Basically, code base for DeFi, gaming, and predictional markets. So there's a lot of use case there, a lot of big eyeballs, DeFi, gaming, and stuff like that. So as you can see here, DeFi gaming essentially is a huge monumental kind of element, and it's got some monster partnerships, okay? Poker markets, obviously. Exceed Me, you got Elrond, Chainlink, Moonbeam. There's a few out there that you can kind of put your finger on. But when we talk about usage, there's a lot of people involved. So this is very, very similar to, you could probably argue it's similar to Graph in terms of how it looks, its aesthetics. But when you start thinking what it's going to be used for, totally different, chalk and cheese. But when we start thinking this is a monster. In my opinion, a monster of an application that can be built. And when we start talking about how it'll kind of work, it'll be interesting to see, because you think DeFi, popular. Gaming though, gaming could be very, very interesting. A lot of projects on here, so definitely worth looking at. And as I say, another one that you can buy basically on QCoin and Uniswap. So eyeballs, not many out there. But that's pretty much it in terms of the coins. But the one thing I do want to mention, obviously going back here, QCoin it's an interesting platform. Yes, it's one of those platforms where, like any exchange, be safe on them. Be safe. Remember your links. Don't go on phishing links. But you got to remember these also have an exchange token as well. KCS essentially. Let's have a look at it. Works in a similar sort of vein as obviously Binance. So I mentioned it before. Exchange tokens do get a lot of interest, essentially as people come in. And you can see here there's been a lot of interest in this token. It's obviously dipped quite a lot. But as people come in to the market, they're going to go to certain places to buy the coins that they want or they've heard about. QCoin is definitely the place where people want to buy these middle cap, low cap coins, as I've kind of alluded to. So if we're thinking utility, this does have utility, which is kind of important. So when you start looking at the fact of going on to QCoin as a whole, they have a token which uses in a very similar way. If you hold, I think, 6 of them, you get some sort of interest payback. You get saving on fees as well. So it does have utility, but make sure you understand how the world of exchanges work. Never leave your stuff on an exchange, obvious reasons. But let me just see if I can find the actual page for the token. I can't actually see it. But in terms of token listings on this, by the way, in my opinion, it's a lot easier for people to get involved in versus the likes of, Binance because of the costs. But that's my opinion on it. If you do want to buy something a little bit earlier QCoin could be the answer. Obviously, Uniswap as well is obvious as well, but people don't want to pay the fees. On a centralized exchange, the fees are a lot less because they take the brunt of it essentially, but they also get paid it as well, so remember that. Anyways, enjoy. Hope you like this video, and yeah, feel free to subscribe. And yeah, we're back tomorrow.